So let's kind of go ahead and get into it. So for the people that are newer to this, let's talk about what the template designer is. And basically what the template designer is it's an add-in for Word that's going to help you design templates for Microsoft Dynamics 365, Power Apps, and Flow, right? So those are also included in there. Some of the major points of these, as I said before, it's Microsoft Word based. So basically when you're creating your templates, you have a lot of capabilities of formatting. Everything that you can do in Word, you can kind of put in the DocumentsCorePack template, right? So, custom fonts, colors, things of that nature. It's where basically you're going to do all the mapping of your fields from Dynamics 365 or the Common Data Service. You're going to map those into your template. Right in Microsoft Word. Again, we'll show that in the demo here. A couple of things that you can set on there. You can set different properties for your template, such as what's the document name going to be. Different, like say for example, you can password protect documents, things of that nature. You can set this all inside of the template designer. It does give support for some complex elements, such as conditions. You can use the standard Word conditions as well as our condition set that we have built into the product. It's really robust, allows you to do a lot more, basically like show and hide paragraphs, or it'll show basically one field or another field based on some settings that you've done, and it's really simple to use. You can also do e-signature tags, so we support the major all major e-signature products. You can do calculations, you can do date time calculations, a lot of different things. A lot of these things, the more complex things, we've covered before in previous webinars, so we're not going to really be going over those today, but just kind of wanted to let you know that they're there. The product itself is available on Microsoft AppSource as well as on our website, so that's where you can go and pick it up if you've never seen this before. So it's pretty simple, not a lot of slides today. Basically, we're going to get right into it. In the demo today, basically, we're going to be creating a basic template. We're going to be designing a document based in Microsoft Word. We're going to map fields from Dynamics, okay, over to our template. We're going to show you how to define a document name. We're going to show you how to test a template, and we're going to show you how to deploy a template. Okay, so these are really basic things, and yeah, so you'll be able to to just kind of know how to use it. And I'm going to show a couple of different tips and tricks on how I do it. So if I take a look inside here, inside of Word here, you'll see when I go ahead and install it, the first install, we're going to add this basically this ribbon here. This is a DocumentsCorePack ribbon. This is pretty much what it's going to look like when you first install. So a couple of things that I like to do when I'm working with this, I work on a lot of different systems and things like that. So I'm switching systems a lot. There's a couple of things in here, a couple of these buttons that I definitely do not need. These are for like if I'm doing, if I'm using the client side piece of DocumentsCorePack, which not a lot of people are using anymore. But it used to be that everything took place in Word, and now everything takes place in Dynamics actually. So the template designer is just that, you're just building templates in here. So what I like to do here is go ahead and go into my DocumentsCorePack settings and go into my ribbon settings here, and just take off these buttons that I know I'm not going to need. Like for example, I'm not going to need the create activities button, I'm not going to need the send this PDF, and I'm not going to need the save document. The one thing that I am going to need here is this show change organization button. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Another thing that I like to do, and I notice it, as I'm, helping people out or doing support cases and things like that. One thing is that this little setting right here is probably the most time-saving setting that you're going to have. This is your default entity. So let's say, for example, I'm working with a lot of quotes. I'm working on a lot of templates for quotes. I can go ahead and select the quote, if I can find it, as my my default entity. Okay. And so every time if I go ahead and I'll select that. show you here, my buttons disappear, and then I have my ability to change organizations right here. But that one is really important because when I go ahead and I want to open a template, it automatically takes me to my quote, right? If I want to start mapping fields and creating a new template, I'm already set up to go. I have to restart that. So let me go ahead. I'm going to change this back to accounts because that's what I'm going to be working on here. So my account. All right. So here we go. So this is how I set things up when I first started. Again, I just get rid of these non-essential buttons that I'm not going to need, that I'm never going to use. Just get them out of the way, and then go ahead and add this. What this basically does for you here is it allows you to quickly and easily change between your instances, right? So I have all these different instances that I use. So I can like change between instances really, really easily. So that's basically how I end up setting that up. Oop, let me get my word back. All right, so here's the thing is basically the first thing what I want to do is when I'm creating a new document, let's say for example, that I'm just going to create a simple report here on an account that's going to show me the account name, the primary contact's name, the address of the account, and then I'm going to create. I want to create a table that's going to list off all contacts. Okay, all contacts on the account. So really simple template here. So first thing I want to do is go ahead and insert my mail merge fields. Okay, and that's the first click that I want to do. And this gives me this nice big list. So what is this list? Okay, this list is basically all the fields that are on my form. Okay, and then all the lookups to my related records. So for those of you who are new, what does that mean? So let me just kind of go ahead and show you this kind of like a side-by-side piece here. Let me grab my dynamics here. So I'll make this a little bit bigger. So as you can see, move this over to here. As you can see, I've got an account here, Alpine Ski House, right? So I'm looking, this is my form here. I've got my account information, my account name, phone number, etc. So these fields basically, like, so for example, the first thing I'm going to put in here is account name. Okay. And so I want to map this account name from here. I want it to say Alpine Ski House when I would run it against this. All right. So I can go over here. I can find that in Dynamics here. So my account name, and then all I'm doing here in my list here is looking for the friendly name here. This is the account name. So I'll go ahead and double click that and put it in there. So now basically what's going to happen is when I merge this document, it's going to take this account name, whatever's in this field, and put it into my template. Simple enough. The next thing I want to put in here in this thing is the primary contact. So let's go ahead and let's take a look here and find that primary contact. Or just any of the contacts here. Just kind of flip through here. This is one thing that you're actually going to be doing here. You're going to be, when you're first starting with these templates, it helps to kind of have this open side by side and just kind of, flipping through Dynamics and trying to find the information that you want. So here I found my primary contact, right? But what this is it's what's known as a lookup here. Okay, basically this is a field that looks up to a related record. This related record is a contact record. So if I open this up, if I clicked on this, this would actually take me to that contact record, right? So these fields here are on my main form, right? So if I look down here and see if I'm trying to find here the primary contact, I don't see it in here. That's because it's a related record. It relates to a record, so it's going to be down here on the bottom here. So here I have my primary contact. I'm looking in here. And then you can see here, I have this piece right here, primary contact, okay? And it's related to a contact, right? So this is related to that contact record. So I can go ahead, I can open this up, okay? And then I have actually access to all the fields here. So if I go here, I have access to all the fields here on this record right in here. So for example, like I want to know the contact's first name, right? So I get the first name here. So I'll just find it here in my list. my first name. I can go ahead and place that in, followed by the last name, right? So I'll just scroll down to the last name, and it places that right in there. So simple enough. So let me just format this up. Primary contact. Okay, great. So this is actually going to go from the account record that I'm going to run this against to this, whatever's in that primary contact, that lookup, and pull this information back for me. So that being said, let me get back to my contact here. I mean my account. So what I want next is to add the address, right? The address of this. Let me make sure I've got. So I have an address in here. So one of the things that you'll notice too here in Dynamics, you have the ability to enter the different street addresses, right? So I actually always want to include these. So what I'm going to do here is I will go up, and they're usually up here, address 1. So I'm going to add my street, my first street. I'm going to add, oh wait, let me just do this nice since I'm in Word. My second and my third address line. Okay, so now you can see here, so I have these all lined up, but when I merge this, basically the first thing that's going to be in here is the Europlatz 0101. Line 2 is going to be blank, and line 3 is going to be blank, right? So I want to correct that, because here, for example, here I'm going to insert the city, right, and then the country or state. Let's see here. Let's see, country or region, right? And then the zip code. I'll just add all that in there. But so I don't want these 2 blank lines in here. This is where a couple things come into play. So what we can do is, like, for example, we can select this particular field that we've inserted, and we can go up here to these field properties here. Okay, so we can select these field properties, and we can say, we can tell it to delete the line or row if it's empty, right? So I basically want to select that. What this is going to do for me is, if this is empty, which we can see in Dynamics, it is empty, right? What it's going to do for me is it's going to ignore that, and it's going to not put that in there, and then move everything up, right? So I won't have any blank lines. I can do again the same for address line 3. Just delete these. All right. And so what this is going to do for me here is it's going to have the address line 1, and then the city should be right underneath it when I merge this, if I've done this correctly, which I'm pretty sure that I have. All right, so there we go. So I have now my account name, my primary contact last name, my address block here, and now the next thing that I want to do is I want to put in a table of the contacts, right? So I can, if I go here to my related contacts here, I can see I've got a list of contacts, right? So I want to do exactly like I'm doing right here. I want a list of all these people along with their phone number. So I'm going to have a table with 2 columns in it. It's good to kind of, you plan these things out as you're doing it. So what I can do is I come over here to my additional tab here. This allows me to add relationships, right? Because this account has a one-to-many relationship with these contacts. Okay, so simple enough. So we have gone ahead, we have predefined a lot of the more common ones. So you don't have to do any complicated relationship editing or understand any kind of deep XML or anything like fetch XML or understand that. You can actually just go ahead and select here from the add the new relationship. You can select all contacts. As you see here for accounts, we have the contacts, all cases, opportunities, quotes, etc. All right. So these are it in its simplest form, right? So I've got my relationship set up. Now this is basically what I'm looking at here. This is my account to my contact. So this is my contact. This is from my contact fields, right? These are my contact fields. So in order to create this table, because each account is going to have a different number of contacts every time, right? I mean, this one has, what is it? It's 5. You know, I might have another one that has only 2, right? So it's kind of hard. You don't want to have, you know, 9 separate templates, you know, with all this information in it. We want this thing to build itself dynamically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start off, and I'm going to build this table out. And with DocumentsCorePack, it's pretty simple. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get the name of the person. So let me find the thing. So I could do the first name and last name, or there's another nice little feature in here. It's the full name. This is actually going to give me the full name of the person here. So I'll go ahead and double click the full name. And what that does is it opens up another little window for me here. And this allows me to build my table. So really simple. I want to build a table with a header, and I want to split it, you know, into 2 columns. And while I'm at it, I also want to go ahead and split that header out. Okay. So it's nice. So what I can do is I can go ahead and I can click OK. And it goes ahead and it builds the table out for me. All right. So I can put in here, I can just go ahead and put my headers in. So this is just name. And this would be phone number. Okay. So really easy. So what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to put in here the business phone number here. So as you can see from this column here, I want the business phone number. I want it to look kind of exactly like this. So I'll find that business phone number right here. It matches up here in Dynamics. So I'll go ahead and put that in there. And that's all I have to do, right? So DocumentsCorePack is actually going to take over and build this table out, right? So while we're at that, let's go ahead and test this. So I'm going to go ahead and make Word a little bit bigger here. So let's test our template out now that we have it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to save the template. What I always suggest doing is when you're building templates, you always want to save them locally, right? So we're going to save them locally so that's just for you know, just for us. You know, we don't want other people actually using the template as we're building it, right? So we're just going to save it locally. So I'll just save it, and I'll just save it here to my desktop, and I'll call this account report. Okay. So I'll save it there, and then I can test it right in here, right in the template designer, right? So this is why, you know, I've set this, I've gone ahead and set this up so I can do this. I can use this choose data button. And what choose data allows me to do is it allows me to select my test record. So my test record here is Alpine Ski House. It always makes sense when you're building a template to have a test record that you're going to use so that you know the output, you know what to expect, right? I know exactly what to expect because this is my test record. I've used it before to do that. Sometimes you may have to have multiple test records if you're going to, you know, do different things in your template. You want to see how it's going to work. So definitely test your templates out. So here I'm going to pick the Alpine Ski House. Now what I'm expecting to get back is the name of the account name, the primary contact name, and then here a list. Did this, my thing broke. Great. So there you go. That's, you know, this is why we test our templates here. So I have here my account name, Alpine Ski House, my primary contact name here, my address that this didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, right? But I also have here my my table with the name of all the contacts and their phone numbers. So we can go back and you know, we can do a little bit of troubleshooting and figure out what went wrong. Um, I'll have to probably look into that. But one of the things that I want to draw your attention to is up here at the top. This is actually the name of the document that we've merged. When you're merging this server side, you're going to get another document name. It's going to start with AM underscore and then have this big long number. It's not a pretty name. This isn't very pretty, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I will close this out, and I want to fix that, right? Because I want it to be actually the name of the account and then like report afterwards, right? That's what I want to do it so I can easily identify it when, you know, I have it on my desktop once I download it. So I'll go ahead. I'm not saving this. So I will figure that out at some point here. But right now, what I want to do here to put a document name in there is I want to hit my insert mail merge fields. All right, and then here, over here, I have this advanced template setting button. So I'll go ahead and click that. Okay, and the first thing that comes up, the very first thing, is the document name and subject, right? So real easy to set. This is pretty easy to do. So if I want to say every time that I run this is the account name, and then I want static text I want it to say account name report. So I'm going to get Alpine Ski House report .docx. So what I'll do here is I'll go ahead and I'll insert the account name, right? And then this is where it gets a little tricky, but we do have a pretty good blog on this on how to do this. But you insert a space and a plus sign and another space. Okay, and now this comes the part where basically I want to add my static text here. So I do that by adding a single quote. And let's just say, so I definitely know that I want a space in here so that everything's spaced out, because it's going to be Alpine space ski house space report. So I definitely want a space in here. I have to put that in there. I'll just put in, all right, and then close it with a single quote. That's pretty much it. So now every time I merge this, it's actually going to pull that account name, whether it's, you know, ABC Corporation or Alpine Ski House or whatever. That is going to be that's going to end up being the name of my document, right? So it's going to pull that in there. So I'll have these dynamic document names, so they're very easy to identify. So I'll go ahead and say okay here. Let me see here what happened, if I can see really quickly. So that's rather annoying. I have to take a look at that right now. I'm just going to actually. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong. Okay, cool. I'll fix that. I'll fix that later. Anyway, so I want to test this. So of course, you know, I've made changes to the document. If I hit this, the change choose data button, it always yells at you and says you have to save it. So always save early, save often, especially now that we have now that we have the template versioning in there. Save as much as you want, right? So here, I'll choose data. I know what to expect, but this time around, I should definitely see something different up here. I should see Alpine Ski House report .docx. Okay, great. All right, so let me just kind of format this up a little bit. I can, since I've used in Microsoft Word, I can do things like this. I can go into my table design. I can make my table look all nice. Again, I'm actually going to just take these out real quick and just butt this up for time's sake. Let's see here. I want to say, for example, I want to make this here, this bold, right? So there we go. So let's say that I'm happy with this, the way this is. Let's make this bold here too as well. I'm happy with the way this is. I've saved it. I've tested it. It works out the way that I want it to. Now I want to publish it so that everyone else can use it. So now this is where the save template piece comes in, right? So what this does, so if I click the save template button, this now gives me just basically a list. I'm saving this to the account. And this gives me a list of all the templates that I have inside of Dynamics, right? Once a template is saved in this way, so you save template and you save it up to Dynamics, it's available for everyone, right? This is why I always kind of stress to save these things locally so you can test it out, so you can make sure that it works. You know, before you release it to someone, because someone may see that template and run it and the template may not be ready, right? So always do that. So I'm going to go ahead and save this under the group webinar here. So I'll save it. All right. See, I do a lot of account reports. So great. So now I'm just going to, let's minimize this. Let's go over here into Dynamics. And we are actually on Alpine Ski House. So let's test this in Dynamics and see what happens here. So first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and use my create document button. Now I'm just gonna, since I'm an admin, I'm gonna decide every step. I can define a one-click action for these, but again, this is something that's covered in a previous webinar. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and look that one up. But so I'll decide every step. I'll grab my group here, my webinar group. This is my new account report that I've made. I'll say next. here I want to do this is I'm just going to create a PDF, right, just so I can test it out. But you can do several other things with this. Again, definitely things that we've covered before in previous webinars. So I'd go ahead and check that out. I'll go ahead and say next here. And then my document creation is in process. It's all happening now server side. Basically, we're pulling everything back. And so let's go ahead and we can like take a look at a quick preview. You can see that this all comes out as it should, and also the name is correct. So that's basically how you're going to end up publishing these templates for other people to use. And then you can see how you can kind of go through and test that, make sure that it works correctly. All right, so that is pretty much what we kind of wanted to cover today. As you know, some of the stuff is pretty basic. If you've used DocumentsCorePack before, you've seen that all before. I hope there were some things in there that you hadn't seen before, and hopefully most of those things were helpful to you. Want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are coming up. We'll do some webinars on these. The roadmap that's happening. Number one is the Document Explorer. And hang on one second. Okay. Yeah. So Document Explorer, what is that? What Document Explorer is basically going to allow you, so as you see on the one side, we have all our mail merge fields and everything like that, and we insert them. And then we have, to find something in there, especially when you get in these longer documents, you kind of have to scroll and search and everything like that. What Document Explorer is going to be is over on the side, we're going to have it to where, it lists all your fields, all your conditions, everything like that. You can click on them and go to them immediately in your document. It's going to be a really cool feature, and I hope it's something I'm really excited about. The next thing is charting, and we got a little bit of a laugh out of that because we forgot to take the smiley face out. But it's also a pressure point for our devs. We love them. So basically, you're going to be able to, one of the things that we're working on, and I have seen this, and I know that it does work, is you're basically going to be able to make charts in your DocumentsCorePack templates. Basically, then, using CRM data, you're going to be able to kind of set up your own charts or use existing charts that you already have in Dynamics there. The last thing is also really cool. It's user-defined, so data filters, I misspelled that, and reporting. We're talking about being able to define basically a dynamic filter for your relationships. So that should be pretty cool once that happens. So thank you guys for joining us today. You can always find us on the web at www.mscrm-addons.com.